Thank you for tuning in to the F5 Recovery Podcast. We're so thankful that you have decided to stop by and watch a little greatness here on a podcast. I'm One Pretty Ricky. I'm joined with my co-hosts Adam Martin, Scott College, and Kirsten Huovinen. We do this show weekly and talk about all the things recovery. But this is not possible without some amazing sponsors. So, of course, thank you to the F5 Project and the Ridge Treatment and Reentry Center. We also want to thank, of course, our brand new location sponsor, H&I Nutrition, where we love this brand new space that we're able to be in. And so today we're going to be talking about mental health awareness, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So love to be able to kind of share and talk about all the things that makes Adam mental. So Adam, how you doing?
Wow.
How'd you get here?
You're gonna get right into it with Adam.
Just jump right in it.
Okay, let's go. Let's do this. All right.
You're way less crazy than you were.
Maybe a little less crazy.
It just changes shades.
It's just I'm crazy about different things.
Yeah. It's more fun now.
It's the
fun
season.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, yeah, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. It was Second Chance Month last month. We didn't do a show about that, so obviously we know where the stigma is with this show.
I don't get it.
Oh, man. So before you got here, Scott, I was on Instagram and I came across a study number, and it said that between 20
He did know it before.
Yeah. It was like three
made it up
in like
quicker.
the last 6 or 7 years or something like that. There's been they have recorded, so there's probably more. Anytime I see survey numbers, it's usually times 3. But 320,000 kids have lost a parent to overdose in the last 6-7 years. That's crazy.
So many people.
In the United States?
In the United States.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I don't even think in other countries they record overdose studies. It's just different.
Yeah.
But I feel like in other countries they may not have the pandemic, or not pandemic, excuse me. They don't have the opioid epidemic the way we do here. I just think it's just so prevalent.
They just put everybody in prison.
Everywhere else?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
Did you hear about the guy that had the ammunition in Turks and Caicos? He got 12 years in prison. He was from Colorado.
Oh, the guy that had a bullet in his bag or something?
Yeah, because any kind of ammunition. He's minimum 12-year sentence.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Ooh, bummer.
yeah.
Cheese and rice.
From 2011 to 2021.
Yeah, it's 10 years.
10 years, 320,000. That's bigger than Fargo.
Right.
Isn't that wicked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years.
That's probably. Cass County is 80,000, or 181,000. I don't know why I said 80,000. So twice the size of our county in the last 10 years. A population of, if that was a population of kids, would have no parent because of an overdose.
Oh, poor
crazy.
kids.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is you came at me at my mental health. I rebut with overdose
numbers. Let's bring this down.
Yeah,
I know something.
But it's now to a point where I think the whole 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever. I feel like it's 1 to 2 degrees of knowing someone who overdosed.
Yeah.
I could probably just on the last year could have enough for people surrounding people around me to be in 1 degree. Yeah. It's crazy how bad it is right now.
Yeah.
And in this profession, it just happens. It's just going to happen to the people you help.
But I think it's even more that there's more. I don't think people even recognize just how many folks have some undiagnosed mental health issue.
Yeah.
Most people, don't. So we know, because obviously in recovery, we've seen the people we work with in our own journeys, but how many people do you think are out there that have no idea that they have an issue, or that someone close to that 1 degree?
And the ones that are suffering the most are high functioning anxiety or high functioning depression, where I can go in public, I can go to work, I can be cheery, I can do my job, but it just, I can't do it but I'm dying on the inside, you know, and you don't want to tell anybody that, especially if you're in the helping profession or you have like some respected position. You don't want to have this weakness. But these things are treatable. You know what I mean? Like you can get help for that too. But those are the ones that I think struggle the most, or the ones that have high functioning anxiety. Even addiction can be high functioning. You can keep your job, you can keep your family, you know, but you're just like out of control with drinking after 9 or whatever. You know what I mean? But that type of control that you need to maintain is exhausting, you know? Anyway. But yeah,
I don't know if I would have gotten sober if I was able to like keep it somewhat together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's probably why you don't see a lot of high functioning addicts or alcoholics or whatever getting sober. Because it's like, well, I'm not that bad. Like my brother was even the same way, where he was like, when he went through his thing or whatever, he always like didn't think he was like me because he wasn't as bad as me. But then when he got sober, the flip happened where it was like, well, if Adam can get sober, I can, because of how bad I was. You know, so, but we've talked about this before on the show, where it was like, there's like 2 different categories of people that I've seen have a hard time get sober. Those who, you know, that get sober right away and then relapse after years, have a harder time staying sober after that. You know, and then the other one is like high functioning, you know, people who can keep their shit kind of together for the most part, except for that.
Like intelligence is not in your favor,
No.
which is weird to say, but
I
like
know.
you think you can like, I got it now. I got it. Like, I don't want to hurt my family anymore. I don't want to, you know, whatever. So you think you don't need that connection with other people in recovery. Like, well, I talk with this guy I went to treatment with 2 years ago. Well, you know what I mean? That's not really accountability, but, and mental health is like, a lot of times in the treatment center, it would be like, early recovery looks like a lot of things diagnosable in mental health, you know? Okay. So whatever that is, just follow your doctor's recommendations or whatever. But, you know, maintain your recovery as a priority, and then be reevaluated after a year, after 2 years, just because it evens out, you know, because it all looks bipolar, you know, and especially when we're not honest about like, oh, I was on meth that day I saw you, and then downers the next time. Sorry, you know what I mean? So anyway, it can look like a lot of things, but
yeah. I don't know if you've ever been in a psych ward, but it's usually like a lot of the people, if they stay sober after going through that psych ward, those diagnoses change.
Yeah.
You know, meth-induced psychosis. I know. It's like, I'm hearing voices and stuff. Well, I would too if I didn't eat, didn't drink water, and only did methamphetamines. Right. You know. Yeah. You're gonna say something, Scott?
I was just gonna say that it's. I think it's become more prevalent also with the mental health side of things, where in recovery anyway. For a long time it was, this is the only thing you can do.
Yeah, it was.
You know, you can't take any medication. If you're taking medication, you're doing this. You know, that old thinking of not using, which for some of us that are in a program, it actually tells us in the book to seek out external help, you know, but there was that concept or that process or idea that, you know, if you're not doing AA and if you're using drugs, you're not good for, you know, or taking medications for some kind of mental health, and then you're not really in recovery.
How long ago
there was a lot of that.
How long ago was that?
15, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, there were people,
10, 15?
5, 6.
maybe even closer. I mean, there's still some of them that think that way. That, you know, they'll have sponsors that'll tell them, you know, I'll talk to somebody like, I had my sponsor and he told me I had to stop taking my medication. I'm like, no.
Not a doctor.
You are not, that guy is not, well, he wasn't, but still, if you are, you're not a very good doctor.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's part of it, is I think it's becoming more, we're starting to recognize it for what it is, you know, and it's the same thing that we talk about is, you know, we need to get to the core of the problem, because this behavior, everybody relates it to their drug use or alcohol use.
Yeah.
But this behavior, going out and stealing, doing whatever the behavior that's out there, but we're not getting to when we start looking at the core, which a lot of it is mental health.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
In some way or shape or form. So we're starting to identify it better, I think.
Yeah. And there was I think the reason why that started was that there was the potential for abuse of the medication they were getting. You know what I mean? Because they were getting benzos to come off alcohol and all this stuff. And then, you're just switching one thing for another, which is what you end up doing in recovery anyway. Yeah. But you switch it to hopefully something good. Like now I'm anything better than what you were doing before. But there, if you're abusing your medication, you just switched, so that you can maintain your whatever.
Yeah. Plus, you had Purdue, all the increase of opioids, that they were just overprescribing, and then Adderall came to the scene, and so I think that most of those guys who were saying stop, I think they were doing it with good intentions.
Okay.
They weren't saying that it was probably a biased view of government and healthcare.
It got a little nuts there.
It did.
Yeah.
It was just if you're on medication, you're not sober, kind of stuff. We see it more today with medicated assisted treatment.
Sure.
Stuff like that, Suboxone, methadone. Yeah. There's a big, push in recovery circles saying that you're not sober. But I mean, being in the treatment world or whatever, there's just sometimes you come across. It's not like they're handing it. I've never seen a treatment center that's handing it out like candy.
Right.
It's a process to get on medicated assisted treatment, and it's usually the worst situations. If this guy doesn't do something, he's going to die.
Quality of life. And who gets to say, why do you care what this guy's on? You're jealous is what I don't know what you're focused on,
Yeah.
But it's crazy what people can focus on just to not, or all of the things people will try to not have to be in a program of any kind. Try any silver bullet, anything. Therapy will do it. This will do it. Oh, I don't want to disappoint my family. That'll do it. I'm like, well, where was that idea 10 years ago when you wanted to do this? It's just that recovery piece is so important, even to your mental health, because you cannot figure out, you can't even get an accurate diagnosis until you're sober for I think post-acute withdrawal lasts up to 18 months. I mean, that's your brain is literally rewiring itself because it was swimming in poison, Yeah. So there's just so many different facets that go into it that without being, you're going to be uncomfortable. You have to go meet people that are doing positive things. You can't hang around with your old buddies that are still drinking, because sooner or later you start to think, well, maybe I overreacted. I'm sure, I can handle it now. You just start to think that you can use chemicals like a regular person or whatever, and you can for a while, but then it's kind of, at least for myself, it would be off the rails pretty quick. But yeah.
Yeah, most recovery circles too they're not professionals. You know what I mean? It's this is part of the issue that treatment centers have had with hiring peer supports and stuff, because it's at F5, we have
not naming any names right
now.
Yeah,
just in the healthcare industry, we're the bad news bears of the crazy thing is that we're winning though.
It's great.
Okay, we're getting out there and connecting with people.
Scott's just oh no.
It's a whole culture, right? It's a recovery culture, and it's just most of those people have been rejected in many areas of their life, and then you put them all in the same room. This is why even prisons have medium, minimum, and maximum security, because there's different.
Right.
You're not gonna. It's not a good idea to mix them all the time, and so I think that's why we've done a good job, because we hire all peer supports, and they just have found their community, with one another and stuff. But you take them and you put them in a professional setting, somebody's getting pissed off. It's just,
I've seen it several times.
Somebody's gonna open their mouth and say something. There's no boundaries. It's just you know,
Take a breath.
yeah. But it's needed. It's like needed because I mean, why would it's like you go to treatment, you're eventually going to leave treatment,
Yeah,
right?
I
I'm
know.
not going to hang out with these counselors.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hang out with the doctor. They don't want to hang out with me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what is most people like when they're completed with treatment? They're either like ready to, you know,
Yeah.
jump, or they don't. They're scared to leave because they found their community, and it's not the counselors.
No.
It's the other clients, right? So
Hopefully
it's
the
only-
counselor encouraged them to like go find some sober friends, find people you respect, and allow them to hold you accountable. You know. And they're like, well, I don't believe in recovery meetings. Like, well, I don't know how you can not believe in them. I mean, they're right there, so that they are. But I just think, like, if someone said you can only try one type of alcohol, and if you don't like it, I will never want to drink again. Well, that never happened. I always had hope that the next one's going to be better. Maybe the one with the umbrella is good. Maybe the 40s are good. Maybe, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing with meetings. If you go in there looking for the differences, you will find them and you will leave. But if you go in there just to meet people and not get hung up on the words and all the things, you know, just be uncomfortable. It's going to suck for a while.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I think that people who are high functioning have they have options.
Yeah.
They'll always have options because they you know, if they don't like recovery meetings, it's just like, well, my life's really not that bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, usually guys who come in and their ass is falling off. They've lost everything, everything that they've tried, you know, whatever. You know, they usually adapt pretty well to it because it's like, well, at least these people talk to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
You
know.
know. And then those are the rooms that are filled up with those people. You know what I mean? And then they're like, it's kind of like when you get like, you know, your family is like, you know, pushing you to get sober. That's the answer, get sober or whatever. And then you get sober and they're like, well, I don't really like this guy. he's kind of a like a dick. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
We knew what we were getting before.
You were so much better when you were drinking, you know?
I had my ex-wife say that to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You should just drink. You're just such a dick sober. And I'm like, this is a trick.
I know.
You're trying to trap me.
Yeah.
It's true though, right?
It was true
yeah,
because I was
100%.
that was when I was sober the first time, and I wasn't going to meetings. I didn't have a program.
Yeah.
You know, I need to
Got it.
qualify that she wasn't. I was being a dick.
Yeah.
You know, because I think for me, I was miserable.
Yeah.
I was
oh my
way
gosh.
more miserable sober than I was drunk.
Yeah.
For a little while, anyway, I had some relief from it.
Yeah.
But now I have a program, which for me has replaced that.
Yeah.
So I don't end up there in that spot. Sometimes I do, but
Right.
I mean, we still fall back
Yeah.
into it.
And initially, I think the goal of recovery is sobriety, the physical sobriety. But really, I'm sure you guys get asked this too. Like, why do you still go to meetings? Why do you still have a sponsor? Why do you still do that? And it's like for emotional regulation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't always need somebody to be like, okay, you need to simmer down and blah, blah, blah. But just having that accountability keeps me going and giving it back and sponsoring other people, all of those things that keep you healthy. Whereas left to my own devices, I'm just kind of shady if I'm left alone. And if I can get away with not going, I'm not going to go. You know, just things like that. Or if I think the most dangerous time for me was when I was a counselor and I had small kids and I was a big deal and I had a career and all those things. Anyway, but I let that become my recovery. And I thought, I do this all day. I do not need to do this at night. I need to be with my kids and I need to be their mom. They need a mom more than I need a meeting. Well, that backfired because like a year later, I am a shit mom. You know what I mean? I'm just like short-tempered and just, I was so unhappy, so miserable because I'd quit going to, I did not put recovery first. And it was the greatest life lesson. Like once those dark times are gone, you know, it's the greatest life lesson. Like I have to put recovery first or I am literally not. And I knew that. I'd said it to people. I said it and then I'd go home and cry myself to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's like it's like that high functioning. I was doing okay. It all looked fine. And I really struggled admitting, like, I'm failing. This is not working. You know what I mean? But, so yeah, I just humbled myself and went back to be new at a meeting I started. And it was better. Yeah. No.
Don't you know who I am?
You're in diapers.
I'm the most famous anonymous person here.
I just wanted to be in and out of there so fast. But yeah, it was good for me. And I think it started this, like, this recovery that's now, like, emotionally healthy and more stable. And I still do talk to a sponsor. I still have, you know, accountability at meetings, and I'm happy. So I don't need to go looking for something else. There's no silver bullet. There's no one medication you're going to get on to cure you, or the perfect sponsor, or the perfect therapist, or whatever. It just is not out there. It's a big picture.
Well, and I think part of it is when we get, you know, you always talk about that, the shiny penny, you know, the next shiny thing that we, as addicts and alcoholics, that's what we're always looking for.
Yeah.
And what happens, I think, in recovery is we find that almost that even line, you know, that that wait a minute, this isn't normal for me. I'm just like going along at a normal pace, and it's like, you know. So I think it's something we have to, like you said, redirect our brains, or redo our thinking on. I don't have to chase every shiny object.
Right.
I'm okay with just being okay for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's really hard for addicts and alcoholics, because you see that a lot with people that get sober quickly. And then I said the worst thing they can do is get everything back in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, their kids, their job, they got a new job and they got a new car. And all of a sudden, I'm good.
Yeah. Or if they never lost that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're still miserable.
Yep.
There's a reason why you sought this out at some time.
Right.
You know?
Nobody comes into AA or NA or any of these meetings going, I just wanted to check it out, see what you guys are about. I don't really have any problems.
Heard some good things. Just want to.
I mean, they do.
Yeah.
They do come in and
I
say
saw
that.
this on TV. I gotta come and see.
I saw Loudermilk. I just want to check it out.
Yeah. You guys are a mess. How'd you get the nickname Scotty Too Hottie?
Ricky Ticky Tabby.
Oh.
He does not call you Ricky Ticky Tabby.
Have you ever heard that?
I've
No,
never
I've
heard
heard
him
Really,
call you
from the
that.
children's, the
Jumbo.
mongoose,
Yeah.
The what?
the little mongoose. It's like
Yeah.
a book.
It's a book.
Ricky Ticky Tacky.
Ricky Ticky Tabby is on the loose.
I've never heard of it.
Never
I read it to my
heard of
kids. You should grab it.
Huh.
Really?
Must be for
Wow.
mentally ill people.
Oh. Oh.
It has to be what?
For mentally ill people.
I guess so. It makes sense.
I thought for sure you two would have read it.
I had different literature.
No, the only book I remember is the one that Kirsten got for our family was Go to Fuck to Sleep. And I'm like,
Isn't it hilarious?
I was like,
though?
Daddy, you should read
Oh
this
my
book.
God.
And then I see the title and I was like, oh boy.
It's so accurate.
It is. It's super accurate.
Yeah.
It was just like, why don't you go to fuck to sleep?
I know. This is the 4th time you've been out of bed. You son of a...
And now you wish you could have that back.
Telling them to go to bed.
Having little kids again. Don't you kind of miss that sometimes?
I kind of miss how cute they were.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I was
boy.
tired.
But you're going to right
Scott's on the grandpa mode.
now. Yep.
Oh, yeah, you
want
get
That
that.
one comment right there means he wants
can't
grandkids.
You
wait
don't have
to
any
get-
grandkids yet?
No. I got 2 grand dogs and 2 grand cats. That's it.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
you never know.
Oh, Kirsten, I was like, oh,
They're probably listening going, no, stop talking to him.
My husband's a grandpa, but...
Oh, yeah.
People aren't having kids these days until they're like in their mid 30s now. Like it's,
Oh, that's late.
I know.
Done with.
I was 18 and
That's early.
I had one.
yeah, I was like,
We're
let's make
not,
sure.
we're not pushing for that. We're
and
not
then
pushing
one
to
at
make sure everybody
39.
knows.
Yeah.
We're not saying,
I'll take the mental
Spread it out.
stability at 39, financially, a little more secure than I was then.
Yeah.
But the energy I had when I was 18,
Yeah.
man, I used to wrestle with my kids all the time and like run. Like now it's like we go to the park and I'm like, I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah. Can you push me? Oh,
can you
do I
push
have
me?
to?
Can you climb the slide? No.
No.
You just get up there.
I don't
I'll
fit
push
in
you,
the
I'll push you.
slide. I'm sorry. I will be bent in half. Oh, or they used to come down the slide and then the electricity makes their hair stand straight up. Oh man, it was so cute. Anyway.
We went to the the zone, Sky Zone or whatever, and they have like that little pit of foam cubes or whatever.
You got in it?
And so
Mistake.
my son runs, jumps into it, and then just like glides out of it. Just I was like, oh, that's not so bad.
No, Adam. Oh, I know where this is going.
Dude,
no.
I put everything I had into to jump as far as I could into the cube pit. I bet you it took me 25 minutes
Did you just
to
see
get
the
out of that
snorkel?
goddamn pit.
It's like swimming upstream.
You
of
have
that
to.
thing.
It's not only quicksand, but it's like mud that you have to move, and then it just.
funny.
And it doesn't matter. You move a bunch of cubes, you get 1 inch,
Yeah.
and then the other cubes
Cubes
like
just fill in.
replace
They should have
them.
that big claw.
Pull you out.
Yes, they do.
You know, there's parents just watch that. Look at this shit.
Yeah.
Watch
Hold
this
on, wait,
dumbass.
wait, wait.
It's his turn now.
Remember when we did that? Yeah.
I
Some
looked at
people
the-
just go there to watch it.
Yeah. I looked at the lifeguard guy or whatever, and I was like, "Why didn't you tell
I
me,
don't think it's a
man?"
lifeguard.
Well, there is like a
You know
worker
what I
there,
mean,
like-
Scott.
That's really funny.
It should be a lifeguard because I was stuck.
It's a useless
But
It was a
lifeguard.
stuck
I
guard.
mean,
He'll
that's
throw you the
point.
donut.
Yeah, that's the point. They don't want you, like, it's supposed to
Throw
catch
you
you.
another cube.
It doesn't matter if you're like. I mean, it does matter if you're like big, but like I couldn't imagine someone like twice my size doing it. But like, all you have to do is just be an adult. Like it's like adult proof.
Yeah.
You could be like a marathon runner, stick thin, but if you weigh more than 120 pounds and you jump into that pit, it's going to take you 10 minutes to get out. When you weigh 250, it's 25 minutes
It's a little different.
That's so
of
funny.
complaining and sweating. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I got stuck in the Burger King.
Ball pit?
No, the play thing up where you're walking. I was going after my daughter.
my
Were you
gosh.
drunk?
No, I was actually sober.
Oh, no.
It's like this is not good. Get me out.
Yeah.
I gotta
No,
go
I'm not going up
backwards,
there.
I had to back out.
I just always started leaving. I just was like,
And
okay,
then-
then bye.
I remember my wife at the time. She was just like looking. She goes, "Why would you do that?" Because they wanted me to
Yeah.
come and play with them. I was like, "Yeah."
My best thinking got me here. Yeah.
Have you met me? You should know this better than anybody. Why I'm in there.
I make poor
anytime I go to
choices.
those like kid play places or like a playground or something, and then like I get like to like playing on the playground or whatever, I am at like Scott getting stuck or me like at Sky Zone. I just imagine this kid just like looking at me like, "Welcome to Thunderdome, bitch."
Starts throwing spit
get
on
it.
you and throwing shit at you. If I get a hold of you, goddamn kid,
I was like, "This is a kid psych ward, man. Like, you gotta fend for
you're
yourself."
going to prison.
Yeah. You're going to need me later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Welcome
gonna
to
call.
my
Here's my
prison.
card.
The one time I thought I could be a kid again, I was on the trampoline. And this was when I was helping F5 with you then. Anyway, I thought I can do a flip, whatever.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Anyway, so I did do the flip, but I put my knee in my eye socket and it immediately swelled shut. And I had the biggest black eye. And it was the one time the next day I had to be on TV. And it was like I walked in and he was like, okay, we're going to have you sit sideways. It was just terrible. Then I went out to eat and Matt would not sit by me.
No, I
would
wouldn't either.
not. So I sat by my brother-in-law, and every time he'd reach for something, I'd flinch, and he's like, that was a horrible black eye. Anyway, that was my one time trying to be on.
That is hilarious.
My 5 minutes of fame is shot by a black eye.
Oh man. I totally would have played along with it. Like, Kirsten, are you okay?
Yeah.
Just say pineapple.
Yeah. You're not safe at home. Yeah.
Wink with the other eye.
Matt was like,
Sanford question.
Matt goes, I'll drop you off at the door and then don't walk by me.
Do not
Go
sit
find
by
my brother. Oh, funny.
Which I think when we were talking like just a minute ago, just thinking about like my mental health journey didn't really start until after I got clean, but I was 5.5 years sober before. I actually like went to get like went to a doctor and like got diagnosed with some things like because I remember. So this was about a year ago, or maybe probably about a year ago. Like I was going to my meetings, I was talking to my sponsor, and I was like, but just something was just off and it just wasn't working. But everything, like I was still sober and I was still like, okay, this is all like working. But it was like, I think that was one of the coolest, like we talked about how many always grateful for the rooms, but one of the most helpful things now that I got from the rooms was like, you can't, whatever you're looking for, you can't get here. You need to go see somebody. Because we talked about like, they're not doctors, but people who weren't doctors were like, no, you need to see a doctor. Like, because the things that I was like talking to my sponsor about and kept bringing up in meetings, they were like, pulled me aside afterwards, like, hey, have you thought about it? I was like, no, because I've never had to go to a doctor for anything. I was like, I've gotten all of my solutions and my problems sometimes. I did everything within the rooms and with the people that like support you and all the things. So I was like, no, this is how I get better. This is how I've stayed better for 5 years at that time. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go to a doctor. You guys are going to fix me. Again, you should really go see a doctor. But like, and then when I did, then I was like, oh my gosh, so much like, it was just so much better and just this awareness. And then like coming back, I'm like, guys, I went to a doctor. And it was like, yes, that's what we've been saying.
Good
but it
job,
was like,
Ricky.
but just I couldn't hear it because I was like, no, but this is how I got better.
Right.
Like everything, I've gotten so much better in life because of this room. But sometimes you do need to see that professional.
It's a big picture. It's a whole wellness thing.
I know, but I was just so like. So involved and just so like, no, this is everything. This is everything. Like having those rooms with other people are my everything. But it's like, well, they can't. Sometimes you do need something else. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that somebody was like, hey, you really should. And I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And then it was just everything made sense. Then coming to the meeting, like everything just like everything like was upside down, like got righted, and then it was like, okay, now I'm back in the meetings. Now I'm able to like hear and listen and get everything I needed because I was just going, but I was just like not high, but just like I couldn't hear anything because I was just the depression and the anxiety that I was having was just too much, and then I couldn't break it.
And if you do that long enough without going to the doctor,
right,
you'll end up using, you know what I mean, and start that whole crap all over again. But
I had somebody at a meeting tell me, because I was talking about depression and anxiety, and I don't understand it. Yeah. I'm like, because I come from, I just don't understand. I haven't had it. Not that,
which is that makes me bullshit, by the way.
No, it isn't.
No, it hits you different. I've seen
that's
it.
Probably
100%.
Yeah, but I don't understand.
Saw it the other day at Taco John's.
What?
Your anxiety.
Oh yeah, my anxiety. Yeah.
And
You're
I've
right.
seen, and like,
You're right.
I'm not gonna pinpoint it for you or whatever.
Right.
I think guys, it's easy for us to say. I don't really understand it because I don't deal with it, but it just comes different.
So I guess, let me qualify that. Yeah. What I was talking about at that point was, I don't understand not being able to get out of bed.
Crippling.
Right.
Depression.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right.
But you understand check the box kind of crippling where you just like check, go to work, check the box.
Yeah.
I talk to him, check the box. Like looking forward to going to bed.
Yeah.
That's like high functioning anxiety.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. But somebody pointed out to me it's similar to, for me at the time, for alcoholism. Mm-hmm. That I couldn't understand. Just like I say, normal people can't understand alcoholics.
Right.
And she pulled me aside and said, think of it this way. And it really helped me to be better understanding and to support it instead of trying to understand it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it is you're not trying to fix it. Like, because this is what I would do. I would just get my ass out of bed and go and like Adam said, I think I hate to say it, but I think he's spot on with, if I'm in that spot or kind of feeling that way, I'm going to do more.
Yeah.
I'm going to put 7 more things on my plate because that's what makes me better. Right. It really doesn't. But in my head, that's what I'm thinking is
smooth the anxiety.
Okay. Now
I'll be fine now.
Well, I don't have to think about this because I'm dealing with 7 things over here.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but that really was helpful. That, you know, I kind of got pissed right away when she called me out in the meeting.
Yeah.
And I was like, because she pulled me aside. She goes, you don't understand it. She goes, you're trying to understand something you haven't experienced, so you're trying to tell people how they should feel.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
or you don't even know you have it because it's so everyday. And then you tell somebody like, I'm worried about this and this. I'm afraid this will happen. And then they're like, you know, that's not like common, right? You know, that's like keeping you awake, you know, things. And this is, the Midwest is like a pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you can do more tasks, you'll be happy. You'll be happy when. And I think if you have not experienced depression, what a gift. Because it's like wearing a dark blanket. It's just heavy all the time, you know? But you can function, you can go to work, hide, tell jokes, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, it just pulls the life out of you. It just makes you isolate and feel like you're not enough in every area of life. It's terrible. It's terrible.
A good indicator for guys like us on that is if you ask us what's wrong and we get irritated. That's usually a good indicator that I'm probably depressed. Like if you're that irritable, you know, because someone's checking on you, like that's usually a good indicator for guys.
Anger is a symptom of depression, for sure.
So that's okay. Now I identified it because that's when I had my mandatory vacation. He's like, what did you do to get mandatory vacation? I'm like, I don't know. I pissed off Adam or something. No, I didn't piss him off. But he came in. But he saw it, and he recognized it, and he called me out on it. I'm like, the hell? Great? I was actually pissed when he was, you know, but then it was the best thing. For me, it was the best thing. I needed that really bad, and I didn't realize it. Yeah. I got like 72 at home, like honey-do list. I told a couple of young people, I got my honey-do list. They're like,
people don't know what that is. Yeah.
So I think they confuse it with the actual word honeydew.
Oh, maybe.
I think they call it nagging now. Pretty sure.
Oh, Kirsten said it.
I did not say that. Because Carrie was not nagging. She had a list.
Yeah. I think we need to start a Twitter feed called Shit Kirsten Says.
I agree. Not the guy said it. Kirsten said it.
I'll own it. I'll own it.
Not all opinions on this podcast are endorsed by the podcast or any of the men on this podcast.
I didn't say I was healthy. Just here. But yeah, you've surrounded yourself with people in recovery, and you've built those relationships that are strong enough that even though you've been around for a very long time, there's a portion of myself that I can't see clearly, you know? Mm-hmm. And you had someone who loved you enough to say, you got to take a break, you know what I mean? Or whatever. And you were willing to hear that, which is another good thing.
Right away.
Instead of being like, quit then.
Because you said you should take it this week. And I'm like, no, I'm going to finish the week out. I'll do it next week.
But I have stuff to do. It'll keep. Yep. Nobody will do it for you.
I didn't mention that. They had said it for a couple of weeks at my meetings that I should go see a doctor. And I was like, I'll just keep going to meetings.
You know what you're talking about.
I was like, and then I was like, okay.
And full transparency for Scott too. He did not literally take the entire vacation. I can't tell you how many times I ran into someone. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, talking to Scott." I'm like, "Oh, really?" One time he jumped on a meeting and I knew he was going to be there and I showed up. And he was like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah. Hang up.
It was an important meeting. Yeah, I called one of the team members, and they're like, because I'd gotten a call.
I saw his name show up, and I was like, I'm staying. And then I was like, hey, Scott. He was like,
Why are you here? Well, I called one of the team because I'd gotten a call about a guy that needed to get in the house, and it was a friend of mine, and they were telling me. So I called one of the team members, like, I can't talk to you. Adam said I can't talk to you, and I'm like,
Don't call me anymore, please.
You're going to get me in trouble. And I'm like, no, you're not going to get in trouble.
I'm going to get me in trouble. Yeah. That's really funny.
Oh, it was good.
You didn't have any dad jokes at that moment.
I was like, what's he doing here?
What do you call a guy?
We're just here to tell a dad joke real
Yeah.
quick. I'm gonna jump off.
Cheery, cheery. Yeah.
Oh.
And usually the people that like laugh the most and all have the most depression are the most likely to suffer from depression and anxiety, which is crazy. Just like percentage wise, nerding out. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I will say to follow like with you on while you were gone, I took some of his job or basically just meeting with people or whatever, like staff or team or whatever, and I'd sit down with them and I'd be like, all right, so what's going on, and then they would like tell me what was going on. Yeah, right. And I would just sit there and they just go on and on and on, and I would be like, all right, well, do this, and they're like, what? I'm like, just do this. This is whatever the scenario was, and they were like, well, that was quick, and I was like, well, what are you used to? Well, Scott and I usually meet for like an hour. We were done in like 5 minutes. And I'm like...
And that's because they overtalked.
Yeah, well, because Scott, he's a relationship guy. So he'll like sit
sure.
down and have like... He won't be like on his phone while he's meeting. Like he'll like be in the meeting. Because Scott's a meetings guy. Like he just... He'll
It's
set
his niche.
meetings
Yeah.
while we're at meetings to talk about meetings. Like that's... And he'll meet...
Not true.
He'll
no.
meet with you for like an hour, right?
It's a gift, Scott.
It is.
really
a gift.
is.
And
Yeah.
I was
It's
just
been so helpful.
by the end of the week or whatever, the people stopped meeting with me.
They were like, I'd come back and I'm like, so you guys want to meet? No, we're good. I was like, what happened? And they're like, well, Adam told me just to do this. Like, you didn't talk through it? And they're like, no, he just said do this. And I'm like, well, let's talk about it.
He also told me to talk less.
Yeah.
You can eliminate all the details, actually.
I don't know. When I meet with people, it's just like people have a tendency of saying the same thing over and over again and not knowing that they're saying it over and over again. And I just don't have the patience to be like, you already said that.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what?
Go to the next thing.
Move on.
And Scott will entertain it. He'll let them talk about the same thing 5 different ways and just be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And like,
Even though he got it the first time. Yep.
I'm already like playing pool, right? Like I'm already on the 4th ball in my head. Like, and so I can't like,
That's why you're not a face painter.
Do you guys want to see a video?
I saw.
No, I've got one.
He's
That's
got the
even better.
good one.
The better one. He's got this little boy or this little kid in there, and he's doing his face, and the kid's like squirming around. He's like, and the kid's like, well, I want to do this. And Adam looks at him and goes, stop talking. I said I won't put that one on Facebook. It was just like,
I'll just out you right here. Oh, that's funny. I know. Yeah.
I get ADHD kids.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just need to like
Oh, you'll
one
be medicated
ADHD
later.
to another ADHD. Just tell them to stop moving. Like they just need to hear direction.
Oh. Yep.
Like, oh,
That's what that kid needed?
Yeah.
He needed direction.
he did.
As soon as his name, I'm not even gonna say his name, but he came in and he was just like Tasmanian devil, and I was like, they're like, you're gonna paint his face. I was like, no, I'm not.
I'm gonna take a break.
I was like, she can do it. And then he sat down. He's like, I want these stitches on my face. And I was like, okay. And so I started doing it. He's like, no, I want it right here. I was like, all right, Charles Manson.
Yeah.
He's like,
be
I'm not
real.
Charles Manson. And then he told me his name.
He doesn't know.
Totally
that.
over his head. He has no idea who Charles Manson is.
Well, it started out, Adam's like, you want a sleeve? You want a sleeve? And the kid's like, no.
Oh.
I want stitches.
Yeah. He's like, sleeves are dumb. I was like, wow, I have a
As he had
real
a short
one.
sleeve
Yeah,
shirt
I was
on.
like, I'm pretty sure he had a short sleeve shirt on.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, kids are so funny.
He was
It
honest,
was
though.
good.
Yeah.
Thanks again for DJing that, Ricky.
Yeah,
It was a great
blast.
event.
You
Taco
DJ'd
John-
face painting?
No, Taco John's
Taco John's.
in
We
Jamestown.
did a fundraiser.
Oh,
that fundraiser
oh.
in Jamestown.
Yeah.
What do you play for Taco John's? I mean, it's a unique.
He
Well,
said,
when I first showed up, he
trying to
was
stay out of AA.
like, we're in
And then
Jamestown.
Adam walks up. I was like, no, it's Scott's favorite. Like, what is Scott's favorite song?
I was like, why are you trying to tell people not to go to AA?
I was like,
Have you heard that
Scott
This
song?
is Scott's favorite song.
By
Oh,
Walker
it makes
Hayes?
sense.
No.
He says, I'm trying to keep my daughters off the pole. My son's out of jail.
Yeah.
Going to church so I don't go to hell. And then it's like, I'm just trying to stay out of AA.
Yeah.
He's in recovery.
Yeah. But it's
He's
like,
actually been sober like 15 years.
lucrative endeavors. But
well, that's why I was like, all right, play a recovery song. You know, a couple of recovery songs. Adam immediately walked. He hears that, and I was like, it's Scott's song.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the one that was like, oh my gosh, because people in Jamestown are probably like, yeah, this is a good song.
The one
But I
that
saw this guy with like his ball cap on. He's got the wing, hair. Like he's a farmer, and he's sitting in his dually in the drive-through.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I love it when you call me Big Pop. I look over at the guy, and he's just staring at Ricky. I was like, we should probably play country music in Jamestown.
I was like, okay.
So funny.
I was like, all right, that's fine. Only little doses of culture.
Yeah.
That's a big piece. It's like, might as well play Warren G. Regulator. They probably would like that.
Well, they did.
That's how
But
you
then,
know
like-
who's from the 90s if you yell regulators.
regulator.
The other ones I don't know.
So this is a big part of mental health, I think,
Okay.
is laughing.
Yeah.
Just having those conversations with people and
Yeah.
getting people to.
And I think that was that was probably the only reason. Well, I mean, whatever. There was a couple other reasons, but one of the biggest reasons why I stayed in recovery, other than finding a boy to stalk, was that they laughed. It was like not self-deprecating, but it was laughing just at the irony and just laughing about anything, bizarre things. It felt so good to be sober and laugh till your guts hurt, And that just, anyway, we just had a lot of fun when I was new in recovery. There was people my age, and they were busy doing stuff. We just hung out all the time doing nothing. Yeah. We cut a hole in
like
carpet and threw a ball through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was wall ball.
Show about nothing.
Wall ball. Was that the females that did that? Because we guys were way different. Like we were, like I remember one night when we were, I was with
Jamestown
Jeremy.
guys.
You remember Jeremy? Yeah,
Yeah.
he was just like. He was like, I have an idea.
Oh,
Anytime
no.
all the boys were hanging out and we were like early in recovery and someone said, I have an idea. Very similar to like the guy holding the beer. It was like, I have an idea. And then like whatever happens, he doesn't drop the beer. Like that's
right.
Like the mind, like, and so Jeremy's like, I have an idea. And I'm like, what is it? And he's like, I think we should freeze our paintballs and shoot each other.
Holy hell.
He's like point blank and see how big of a market leaves. So I'm like, where do you come up? This is genius. And we had like all these guys and we were like shooting each other in like the chest and like the ass cheeks or whatever. And like that was like a typical, it left a big welt. Like huge. Yeah. It would leave a big welt unfrozen.
Yeah. Right.
Like this is like a rubber bullet now.
That's awful.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
That's
there
awful.
was like, I mean, we were like in our early 20s, and most of the people that we knew were like starting their careers. They were like getting ready to have kids. Maybe they were just finishing out a frat house or something, And then you got all these guys who were like kicked out of those parties, living together. Not drinking, looking for shit to do to like get some level of dopamine, And the best ideas we came up with was like pulling all-nighters, drinking coffee, right? Espresso drinking contests, who could stay up the longest, shoot each other with frozen paintball. Like it was chaos. But I never had, I would never go back to it.
Yeah.
But I never had so much. I had more fun with sober guys in our early recovery than I ever did drinking with guys.
For sure.
Like it was insane. But you just had to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Like it was fun. I loved it.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest stigmas is you can't have any fun if you're sober.
Yeah.
And that when people can see that and they can
Right.
actually experience it, that's where the
what am I
change,
gonna do?
the fellowship comes into play.
Yeah.
Right.
If this wasn't fun, I would be out.
Right. Yep.
But
Well, speaking of fun, want to thank our fun sponsors, the F5 Project, the Ridge Treatment and Reentry Center, and of course our new location for season 3 sponsor, HNI Nutrition. So thankful and grateful that we were able to be here. Hopefully you enjoyed our podcast. Thank you to my co-hosts. This was wonderful as always. Happy National Mental Health Month. Please do something for your mental health this month.
Happy belated Second Chance Month.
Oh.
Have a good day.
Have a great day of recovery, y'all.
Hope you all remembered Mother's Day.